and welcome to the Newton Sports Club podcast, a new podcast dedicated to the teams, players, coaches, staff and members of Newton Sports Club. Each episode we will follow the cricket, rugby, tennis and football teams, including pre- and post-match interviews, results, upcoming fixtures and specially featured interviews from players, coaches and supporters alike. But this podcast isn't just about the players, it's about the supporters, members and customers of Newton Sports Club, and we will invite all of our listeners to join in on the pod each and every episode. So, wherever you're listening, sit back and let's get into the episode. Hi and welcome to the second episode of the Newton Sports Club podcast. In this episode, I'm delighted to bring three amazing interviews. We have former Storm captain and Ant Swift's best friend Al, current Storm captain Smiler, and the first team cricket captain Chris Chambers. But the main theme of this episode is dedicated to Ant Swift, an ex-Storm player and open age coach who sadly passed away in July 2020 after losing his battle with cancer. On Saturday the 16th of April, players of both Rugby League and Union came together to play in a memorial match in Ant's honour. A fantastic event played in great spirit by all involved and a fitting tribute to Ant and his family. You will hear more about this match and Ant from both Al and Smiler a little bit later. Now, I was down at the club on Saturday carrying out the interviews, and the buzz around the place was just absolutely amazing. Now, naturally, with Ant being such a big personality at the club and people with so many memories, it was always going to be a special occasion, especially the fact that the guys and girls down at Newton Sports Club, they couldn't get this game on for 2 years due to COVID, the game being cancelled after a lot of organising by Smiler and the guys. But on Saturday the 16th, they were finally able to get the match underway. And in and around the club, there was a real buzz about this match, but also the fact that the cricket team were at home. They had a pre-season friendly ahead of the first league game on Saturday the 23rd. The football reserves team, they were at home as well, and they also played a friendly. And the sun was shining, it was Easter weekend, it was just a real good time to be down at the club and a real buzz around. And you can hear that in some of the interviews, some of the background noise. You can hear people at the bar, of which I must say the bar staff carried out a fantastic job in all day, just relentless, people going up, trying to get their refreshments. And I do believe that some of the players, I think from majority of them were the Storm players, drunk the bar dry. In particular, I think Smiler's got a lot to do with that, to be honest with you. But the whole day really was centred around Ant Swift and the match played in his honour. And it was great to see Ant's family down there, some friends, and all the players that played had a shirt that was designed by Smiler's wife, Claire, Ant's wife, Claire, not Smiler's wife, Claire, and some of the guys, and they had Swift number 1 on the back. And it's a real touching moment because, as you'll hear later in Smiler's interview, how they come up with the idea, I sort of put it to him that a lot of people, they either retire a shirt or put, a picture up in the memory, but to design a shirt and put his name and number on the back, I think that was really special, and you could feel that around the club. And not only was the game played, but a lot of money was raised for the Willowbrook Foundation as well. So, just a real good day, and you can really feel the energy in and around the club. And I think it's really special that we're coming out of winter into the first spring post-COVID lockdown, and people feel a lot more free. And I think people absolutely need to get out and about and feel normal. And you could really feel that vibe down at the club on Saturday. There was parents, children, all sorts of ages, boys, girls, men and women, all contributing in some way, whether that's playing in the match for Ant or, supporting, whether it's the football guys, the cricket, all the staff. It was just an amazing atmosphere, and it was a pleasure to be down there and carrying out interviews for the pod on Saturday. And at the same time, on the same day, there was a FA Cup semi-final between Liverpool and Man City. And obviously you can imagine being in Newton and Relos, bang in the middle of both of those massive cities. There were fans of both teams there. So it's a real big occasion. And you can see some of the open age rugby players. They were in there eating their bar snacks and watching the game, and just the vibe was just amazing. And it sets the stall really for the rest of the summer, I think, where especially when the cricket season starts, but also the tennis is open. Obviously the rugby teams have got a way to go now. So Storm are part of the way through the season, only 4 or 5 games in. And with the addition that will be coming soon, that we announced in episode 1, that Joe and the team will soon be putting a bar food service on as well. It's just an amazingly exciting time down there. Now, I think it's only right that we get into the interviews, and the first person I'd like to introduce is Al. Now, Al was one of Ant's best friends, played alongside and against Ant in rugby league over the years, and he does tell a memorable story about him as well. So it was really good to get an insight into Al and his friendship with Ant, but also Al's time with the club, with Newton Sports Club, and his affiliation, and what he's done in the past and what he's up to now. So sit back and really enjoy this interview with Al. Right, I'm pleased to bring along Al onto the pod. Al is a best friend of Ant, who we know sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And the match that was on today was in memory of Ant. And Al's kindly given us some of his time and to talk about Ant, a bit about the club, what he's done around the club, and what we can look forward to going forward. So, Ant, Al, welcome to the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Our first ever guest to the pod, so it's no pressure, but this interview's got to be the best one because it's how we go forward. But no, so Al, just tell me a bit about you and Ant, and I opened up by saying you're his best friend, and just give us a bit of background.
Yeah, I know Ant for probably 10, 12 years. Met through a mutual friend, and we just got along like house on fire through our general love of sport, rugby mainly. Ant used to play, and he came down to the open age team when I was captain, Newton Storm, and we just had a mutual love for sport, a few beers, and our wives got good friends, and it just blossomed from there, and it was a pleasure to know the guy. Yeah.
It sounds like you've got a bit of history there, and obviously you'd have been devastated with the passing of Ant a couple of years ago. So today's match, how big is it for you to be involved in that?
Yeah, it was a great experience today. To see all these former friends, former teammates, people he knew just getting involved, and I think Smiler's coming on in a little while, and it was a pleasure to be asked to be involved, and he let me captain the opposition, the old boys team. And luckily we came away with a narrow win in the end, but it was just brilliant to be a part of and see all them faces and see the club was so packed with all these people that knew him and wanted to celebrate his life, because unfortunately, as you said, he passed during COVID, and we couldn't really do a celebration what we like to do at the club. If we lose one of our own, we like to celebrate that and everyone get together, have a beer, share stories, see old faces, see old friends, and we just couldn't do that. So doing that today with literally, you've seen it around the place. There's hundreds of people here today, and I believe the bar's running low, so we must be doing something right.
I can hear some disgruntled voices in the background about the bar running low. But that's one thing we love to do in this country. We like to celebrate life as opposed to just mourning, when people pass. and you can really feel that in and around the club today. I'm sure you've got some real enough stories about yourself and Ant. Is there anything that sticks out? Any special moment you'd like to share?
It's a funny one actually, because we were great mates, but we played against each other and we were both fierce competitors. And we played another charity game a few years ago. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was for. I think might be the Vinnie Hughes Memorial for the Rugby Union section. And we was on opposition sides playing league, and like I say, we're fierce competitors, so we ran it in, and I think someone twisted him in a nice way, and I got a real good rib shot on him, and actually cracked one of his ribs. But yeah, it was something we laughed about until the day he passed, and he always said, "No, no bad feelings." He said he'd do the same to me, and that was the kind of guy he was, and he never held a grudge. I think, I don't know, it's another story, but he got a broken jaw down here quite a few years ago. Someone sucker punched him. There was talk about police things and stuff, and he laughed it off and got on with life. That's the character he was. So yeah, first competitor on the pitch and the top bloke off it.
Oh, nice one, and thanks for sharing that. I know it's hard, and it's hard to bring back some memories at times, but at the same time, good to smile and just remember those good times and the times you'd have a laugh. So, in terms of yourself, how many years have been associated with the club?
I came down just as I went to university, so I'm probably pushing 18 to 20 years. It must be around 18 actually, considering the club's celebrating 20 years soon. On and off, the open age didn't survive all them years, unfortunately. So I have moved a few clubs, but I've always been around the place. And and a few years ago, with the help of Smiler, set the open age back up. Right. And as soon as that was on the cards again, I was back here. I kind of dipped my toe out of rugby league for a little while. I went to the uni and the dark side. But as soon as the open age was back, I was always willing to put my hand up and play. And the club's doing really well. I believe so. There was in a final a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, we didn't win that one. I had to miss it for a broken jaw myself. But yeah, I've been with the club around it forever, and I've actually took over from Ant's team, coaching the under-14s as they were now. But Ant's had them since they were Cubs, under-4s, I think it starts. So it was a pleasure to take over that. Unfortunate circumstances, but that's another involvement in the club I've got.
Amazing, and it's great to see those grassroots coming through, because I think people maybe back in the day forgot about grassroots sport and how important it is. We've seen it come through, maybe like the BBC and even Sky. They really invest in grassroots sport now, and I think, especially in this day and age where safety of children is paramount, and we understand that more. You look around the club, the kids can play around here. It's a safe environment with people that are committed to developing them and helping them on their way. So that's amazing. What's the difference between playing and coaching? What would you say is the biggest challenge for you?
For me, it was a big change. I played rugby for nearly 30 years. Through juniors to open age, etc. Giving my age away a little bit there. But actually, then teaching the kids how to do things right, because you get lazy when you're playing. You do your own style, but your style's not going to fit everybody. Mm-hmm. So getting the kids to do the things correct way, and then they'll develop their own style and adapt that. And I think it's really important to make sure they've got the basics down and correct, but then they can learn their own way, and they will develop their own techniques, their own dark arts, or their own way of running a line. But I think that was the most difficult part, remembering the correct way to do things after years of being lazy, and playing my own way. But yeah, loving coaching the kids. We're doing pretty well at the moment, and they're a credit to the club. They really are.
Oh, brilliant! It sounds like it's really fulfilling as well, and I can imagine you, especially over the course of a season and a couple of years, you can see the progression of some of the players. I know from personal experience, when you're younger, you first start out, you want to be the best. You maybe, that confidence has to come, and it's lovely to see them flourish and do really well. What does the future hold for the youth team at the moment?
My youth team, like I say, under 14s, we're going really well at the moment. We're top of our league. We've just, unfortunately, we got knocked out of the cup a few weeks ago. They were just a better team. Sometimes you have to hold your hands up and beaten on the day by a better team. But like I said, we're top of our league. We're going really well. We've got some really important fixtures coming up. But I'm really confident this year. You know, we've got some great kids with